Ondo State Governor and Chairman of the Forum, Rotimi Akeredolu, while reading the communique said, and I quote, "The Forum is committed to the politics of equity, fairness, and agrees that the presidency of Nigeria should be rotated between the southern and northern Nigeria. With the declaration, the governors have punctured the presidential ambition of some northern presidential aspirants. A silent patient which cannot be swept under the carpet is, with the political parties heed the Lagos Declaration. And this morning I have in the studio two panelists who are going to do justice to this very important subject. Sitting close to me is Honorable Dr. Ifeanyi Okubike. Dr. Bike, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, my moderator.
I also have in the studio Mr. Charles Esono Esquire. Mr. Esono was a one-time transitional committee chairman of Abano local government area. Mr. Esono, welcome to Issues of the Moment.
Thank you, my brother.
Mr. Esono, let me start with you. As a lawyer, do we have zonal arrangement or zonal formula in our constitution, 1999 constitution? Is there anything like that?
Basically, the constitution, there's a particular side of the constitution, though it's not enforceable, the paragraph 2 aspect of it, wherein they mentioned issue of rotation between the geopolitical zones. So it is really contained in the constitution, but then it's not the enforceable, it's not the part of the constitution that is enforceable as a matter of fact. Those are what they call it's not the enforceable part, let me just put it this way,
okay,
where such a thing is contained in the constitution, chapter 2 of the constitution.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, Honorable Okubike, talking about the declaration by the 17 Southern State governors, do you see a situation where all the political parties will field their presidential candidates from the South, just like what happened in 1999 when PDP and APP fielded candidates from the South? We talk about Olusegun Obasanjo and the former secretary to the government of the Federation, who were candidates of the two political parties at that time.
Well, frankly speaking, I think it is always easier said than done. But where equity should play its role, I think they're supposed to field a southeastern candidate in the both parties, because equity, if you want to look to equity, you must go with clean hands, because you can understand that this our yelling for this presidency is overdue. Understand? So the zoning formula should have, at least by this time, it should have gone to the southeast. At least we test it for once, because other political zones, they have tested it severally and severally on and on, but we are still in the political doldrum. So it is high time our governors did the best, did the needful, and I suppose they are doing it. If they should stand by it, it will go very well. It will be very, very good.
Okay, thank you. Now, Mr. Son, I'm going to ask you that same question. Do you see all the political parties fielding candidates from the South as their presidential candidates in 2023?
It's only God that can preempt the minds of people before the particular act is done. So we don't have the capacity at this stage to preempt what will transpire, all this transpiring in the minds of the political parties or the administrators of the party at this stage. But it's a clarion call that has come from the Southern Governors Forum, knowing that the incumbent president comes from the North. It is only equitable, it is only justiciable, it is only prudent that the next president should emerge from the South. And it's just like a template that they have set for the political parties, urging them to ensure that the next president comes from the South. In most cases, whenever the zoning issue comes up, notwithstanding the area where the particular position is zoned to, people are also encouraged, one way or the other, to also contest or to also run for the particular office. So it now turns out to be the minority wish, while the majority has the say. So just like as I started, we cannot preempt the minds of the actors in that particular field, but we believe that come 2023, that the president will definitely come from this southern part of the country.
Okay, it does appear that the main opposition party in the country, I'm talking about the People's Democratic Party, is not interested in that very declaration. They have said it is the National Working Committee of the party that will decide which zone will get the presidential slot. So, Mr. Honorable Okubike, why do you think that the PDP is singing a different song?
Well, they are singing a different tone altogether. I think it's not a palatable a song for us to dance, because if you talk about PDP kicking against it, they are not doing us any word of good. The best they will do for the zone is to allow the thing to flow, because the southern governors, they are come together and say yes, you must only come from the south. And the south we are talking about should be particularly the southeast, because the south, they say they have tested it. They have tested it. The north, they are holding the grips and they are holding they call the shot. But this time around, if we can influence them, let it come down to southeast, because PDP is saying no, they are not doing us any word of good. You know, it's like they are playing pranks, hide and seek politics. So that will not go, will not augur well for the southeasterners, because we are yelling for it. It is overdue. It looks like we are plunging into political abyss. Understand? Therefore, we need to wake up. Our governors, they are trying to to come up to that, and if they do that and stick to their guns, PDP, if they say no, there are other parties that can embrace us, and we fight it as a cause. No matter the population, but God on our side, we can still achieve it. Understand? Because in the past, we never knew that governor or president would have come from the minority south. So with God on our side, if we arm ourselves very, very well, PDP or not PDP, we'll still get it. That's my contribution.
Okay, Mr. Esono, as a lawyer and also as a politician, do you think that having a Nigerian president of Igbo extraction will be possible in 2023 when you consider the situation of Nigeria as of now? It means that people are saying that we don't know what the Igbos want. Is it Biafra or the presidency of the country? So do you think any political party will field an Igbo man as their presidential candidate?
It is still boils down to what I said earlier on. It's preemptive in nature, and it is not out of place. Every Nigerian has as long as you have the basic qualifications of becoming the president or of running for that particular seat. And Igbos are not excluded, as a matter of fact. And the agitation of every average Igbo man is that we have not tested that particular position prior to this time. And it is not out of place. So it all depends on the Igbos. How far can we get united and do the lobbying? Because it's about lobbying. Political interests and positions has to do with lobbying. And all I need to do is to encourage every player, every good player within the system, within the polity, to galvanize our interests and make sure that we find one way or the other to send out our messages across the length and breadth of the country, especially to the major players, to say that we have not tested this particular position before now, and it is not out of place. Why shouldn't an Igbo man become the president of the country? So I still think that sense of reasoning should be called for at this point in time for political parties to really see reasons. The Igbos today, they are I'll call them the nucleus of this particular country, because every particular section of the country you go, you must see an Igbo man. and they make things happen economically and otherwise. So why shouldn't we take a shot at that particular exalted position of the presidency? So I believe and I think that come 2023, sense of reasoning, equity, should also avail the Igbo man for the Igbo man to occupy that particular exalted position.
Okay, we are facing series of self-inflicted challenges in Nigeria. So, Honorable Okubike, don't you think that we should emphasize competence instead of zoning arrangement when you consider what we are passing through today as a democratic nation?
Well, there's no way, if you are talking about competence or whatever, I think the Southerners, especially the Southeasterners, they are more qualified. They are competent enough in all those things. After all, if you get down to the history of Nigeria, the Southeasterners were among the pathfinders of this very political democracy or dispensation that a particular tribe has just hijacked. You know, keeping us at the rear. We were supposed to be at the front line. Therefore, whatever be the case, we are excellently qualified for any position, more than qualified, even though they are trying to set us back, you know, by keeping us behind bars in everything they are doing. They don't want us to come to the fore. While we are the front liners of this country called Nigeria. So the best thing they ought to do now is to give us at least that benefit of doubt. At least if they give us the benefit of doubt, the comparison will now come up there. We compare and contrast the past regimes and this current regime, which is being headed by an Igbo extraction. So that will go a long way to either bringing Nigeria to the committee of leaders where they should belong, because we are lagging behind seriously. A lot of things, have gone offhand. You know, we are not actually behaving like a reasonable country. Everything has gone haywire. We are seeing ourselves either dwelling in a sort of banana republic, which is not supposed to be so. So everything, as far as I'm concerned, in Nigeria has gone below standard. We are not able to par as what we are supposed to be. Therefore, we need a thorough change of battle as it affects leadership. Let the Igbo man have at least a sting to it, and we will now say, the test of the podium is in the 80. So we should have at least a fair share of what is happening in Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Okay, Honorable Sono, it is clear that APC, which is the ruling party at the center, will field somebody from the southwest of Nigeria as his candidate in 2023. And also, it will be difficult, if not impossible, for the PDP, which is your own party, to field an Igbo man as his candidate in that same 2023. So, don't you think that for an Igbo man to be in Aso Rock, we must have somebody from the north who will pick a candidate from the southeast as the running mate? Is that why your party is still interested in the Atiku Abubakar Peter Obi joint ticket?
There hasn't been any pronouncement to that effect. It's only speculation, like as I had said, not until the proper thing begins. Whenever parties come out, even the APC you talked about, it is not yet certain that they're going to give that ticket to Tinubu and Tinubu. I know that that's a particular person you presume they're going to give the ticket. It's not yet certain, but I know that there are interests who are now clamoring, and they are doing a lot of lobbying to make sure that it's lobbied out. So nothing is certain about where the presidency will go and who becomes. So it's only speculation. What we have on hand, we know that Atiku Abubakar has so far tried for the party, but that doesn't preclude the chances of the likes of other great Igbo leaders. We have Senator Baribe doing very well at that particular stage, and age-wise and otherwise, he's up to the age of becoming the president of this country. And he has done so well that if today you allow the masses to choose who their president will become, they will work things very well. And we also have other Igbos that are qualified eminently, like my brother had said earlier on. So let us see what happens as the day go by. And don't be surprised that you'll be that you see surprises coming up when finally this particular question is being zoned.
Okay, Honorable Kubike, the Northerners are saying, look, we are not interested in that Lagos declaration. And they are saying that their sons and daughters also have the right to contest for the highest political office in the land. So, don't you think that it may be a dicey situation in 2023?
Well, I think actually it has to be, it will be, but definitely I see it from an angle of from an angle of avarice. They're asking so much. Understand? They are taking so much from this country. They are taking so much. They have taken everything as far as Nigeria is concerned. And they have plunged us into a very precarious situation, which everybody is clamoring for a good change, a better change. They have really plunged us into that very situation. And because they are counting on their population or whatsoever, and also other political antics they used to, to maneuver the election. So that's where they need their reason, because they feel that after politics is game of numbers, that they have the numbers to influence whatever that has been voted or whatever from the south or from the southeast or even southeast put together. They still have the political maneuvering powers to undo the other tribes in order to get it. So that is why they say that they are not interested in any zoning pattern, because they have tested it and tested it again, and they felt that this time around, if the thing slips off their hand, that they will go backwards. They will, for them to get it back, because they are throwing the country into a big mess. Everything has gone, everything is rotten as far as the political system is concerned. Nothing is working in Nigeria again. So the type of ineptitude that characterize their leadership or whatever, they have seen it, and everybody has seen it. It's very much glaring, So there's no gainsaying the fact that we need a reasonable change. This time around, not from the north, We need to, at least, to divert from their. They've held us so spellbound, so we need to digress a bit to test other side of leadership for the emancipation of our people. We are completely entangled into a very serious, both economic, politically, and otherwise. They have sent us really backwards. We are in the abyss, political abyss, completely. No light, no nothing. You cannot see the light of the day with what is happening today. Not to talk of giving them again in 2023. I tell you, Nigeria will better describe as a banana republic, a country where nothing works.
Okay, Honorable Sono, why do you think the Northerners are kicking against that very declaration that took place in Lagos? Why are they not interested in the Lagos declaration?
Power. It's fundamental that power intoxicates, and having had several shots at that particular highest echelon of administration in the country, they will not want to allow it slip their fingers. And you and I know how Goodluck Ebele Jonathan came into power. It was only by virtue of the fact that his boss died and he now took over power from him. And if they were also allowed to play the games as they normally do, they wouldn't have allowed any Southerner to test that particular position. So, and you also know the threats that came on board before that, the election that brought in President Buhari. Several threats came in, and they said if Buhari doesn't become president, if Jonathan doesn't become president, that the country will go into will disintegrate. And maybe you can see what is happening to the around in Nigeria, wherein those who have the powers, they have the guns and the barrel and everything, and they use it to the fullest and make sure that they suppress every other person that comes on board. And so it's just issue of power, how it intoxicates, and that nobody that ever had the privilege of testing power wants to let it go. So it is a normal yearning, but though not in the interest of Nigeria today.
Okay, thank you very much. At this point, we are going to take a short break, and when we come back, the rest of the program will continue. This is Issues of the Moment, and the topic we are discussing today is Southern Governors and the next President of Nigeria. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the program. This is Issues of the Moment, and this is the second and last leg of our program today. Like I said earlier before we went on that short break, we are discussing Southern Governors and the next President of Nigeria. And my guests are Honorable Dr. Ifeanyi Okubike and Charles Esono, one-time Transitional Committee Chairman of Aba North Local Government Area. Now, gentlemen, Honorable, let me start with you. We have been talking about Igbo president, Nigerian president of Igbo extraction. Do you foresee a situation where any of the main political parties giving an Igbo man the presidential ticket in 2023? Is it possible?
I have also said it's time without number. It is very possible. Like There's also speculation that the reason why Governor Dave Umahi resigned from PDP and went into APC is just for that particular position. I wouldn't know what they would have told him for him to have considered to do what they asked him to do, to resign and join the APC. It's also as of right. And having done that, expectations are high that whatever they would have told him when they come 2023, that they will really go ahead to fulfill their promises. So it is not out of place. And coming back, PDP as well, I have also said it, we also have strong politicians that have really paid their dues, that can also stand in favorably if given that particular slot. So it is very possible that we all know that while we seem to concentrate on two major political parties, we know what power is all about. If you're not in the majority, you cannot determine what happens. Either you also have the powers to manipulate, because manipulation is also part of Nigerian politics. We have to be very frank about it. And those other parties seem not to have the clout and the strength to go all out to slug it out with these particular two political parties. But that's why we seem to concentrate on these two political parties. So, and I know that it's not out of place. When they dies are cast, you see that they might choose an Igbo person to become the next president of the country.
Okay, with due respect, most people will tell you that a Nigerian politician cannot be trusted. He will say one thing in the morning and he will change in the evening. Now, talking about the 17 governors that converge on Lagos, do you think that they are sincere? When you consider that they consider the political future very, very important to them, and they prefer to work with the North in order to achieve that, Honorable Okubike, do you think they are sincere in their demand?
Well, all things being equal, I feel that they are sincere. That sincerity of purpose is there. It is playing out because after that very particular declaration, there were attacks from here and there, but they stood their ground. They did not shift. So if they maintain the status quo, I think they will actually do the needful by giving their total support to what they have earlier said, because nobody forced them to come together to make that declaration. They have seen seriously the marginalization and other solid things going on against the South and South is the two blocks. They actually saw everything and x-rayed what is really what actually is happening, and came out with that communique. Understand? So I would say that they have been pushed to the wall. They have taken about enough of their impunity. Therefore, they need to move away from dirty politics and face the reality at hand.
Okay, Mr. Son, I'm still going to ask you that same question. Do you think that some of the governors are sincere in their demand when you consider what happens in Nigerian politics?
It depends on what you mean by sincerity in this particular context. Because just like my friend had said before they ever conferred, I think that was the second time they were meeting. They had the first meeting in Asa, and then the second one in Lausa Ikeja. And I bet you, before they all stood up to converge for that particular meeting, they would have had their thoughts. And my own is knowing the nature of politics and what plays out. When the real game is down, they must, as of it's not, in fact, let me use the word shall, which is mandatory. They shall definitely confer with their brothers from the North before they can succeed. Today, the powers didn't seem to rest on the governors. So that's the more reason why I know that what they did, or the communique they also issued, is not just a flip, because I know that the power rests on the governors. But for them to succeed, there must be lobbying. They must get their northern counterparts to agree with them. So that is the good reason why I know that a lot of them could have friends from the other divide who will definitely come and align with them. So for you to see that resolution succeed is that they must get the northern governors to agree with them, to have to agree with them. And I'm happy, like I know a lot of northern governors who are also saying the same thing. So it is something that I know could be achieved, is achievable.
Okay, this is certainly going to be the last question because I think that we are racing against the clock. Now, Honorable Kubike, we still have 1 year before we have the 2023 election. But it does appear that no Southerner is, as of now, has shown interest in the highest political office in Nigeria, which is the presidency. How do you see it?
You cannot predict for now because I see believe when the chiefs are down, they are still in their workroom. Understand? They are still in their workroom making clandestine connotations. They will not come now to preempt, but they have it in mind and in good standing. 2020, the game is on actually, but they are still working underground because after whatever we will see actually where they are coming from. But definitely they cannot chicken out because if at this time they come out to say yes, or any of us come out, I'm for the president, I'm for this, I'm trying. You will see people that will want to shut them down. So for now, they are taking their time to still study the political, whatever. So for sure, we will have them coming out. They will not choose the best of the best, or the people that have emerged.
Okay, thank you very much. And with that, we have come to the end of today's edition of our program, Issues of the Moment. We have been discussing Southern governors and the next president of Nigeria. We decided to venture into politics because of a recent meeting held by the 17 Southern state governors where they said that the next president must come from their region, which is the Southern Nigeria. I want to thank my two guests for coming to the studio of Living TV Film Academy to talk about this very topical issue. I want to thank Honorable Dr. Ifeanyi Okubike and Charles Esson Esquire for coming to today's program. Gentlemen, God bless you and thanks for coming.
Thank you very much.
My name is Chimezie Ozems. I also want to thank the viewer for watching today's edition of Issues of the Moment. Join us next time for another interesting episode of the program.